and job boards are like drugs because once you get on them, it's really hard to get out and even see anything else that could work for you in your recruitment business. So I'm sharing this video if you're stuck on LinkedIn Recruiter or using job boards and you feel like that's the only way to go about doing things because now you're spending what 1,500, even 2K a month on all of these licenses. And when you work it out per head, it's like you have to make 24 grand a year just to cover the costs. Then you got your CRM, phone bills, laptop, everything else that you've paid for. You've got to make like 3, 4 placements just to get things going. I just want to share this. The way that we run our recruitment business, licensing and software costs less than $300 a month. I'm only saying dollars because the software is American. We're based in the UK, and otherwise I'd be saying pounds. But $300 a month for every single tool that we use in the recruitment business. Now, share that across all of the team, 12 licenses, might be 13 by the end of this month. But either way, we don't have the overheads or the running costs that some recruitment businesses that I speak to have. And if you're talking to anybody who is, and I'm talking to all levels, like either you're a beginner, you are making, several million a year, or if you're just getting going, if your overheads per employee are north of 1,500, even 2K per month, gosh, you're one bad month away from like disaster. Because if you're making 5, 10, even 15K placements, then you've got to factor in wages. You've also got to factor in any office rent costs, software, other software licenses. You've got laptop costs, phone costs. Like there's a load of other expenditure that comes with running a recruitment business. You want to keep it as light as possible. But if you're not operating above 70% in terms of profit margins, you've got problems. Whether you're a beginner, you're setting yourself up for failure if you're doing that. If you are in the earlier stages of getting your business going, then you're about to run into more problems because now you're just going to have more stress and pressure. And if you're running a 6 million a year business, then the business becomes a drug because now it's like, if you don't take this and you don't do all of this and everybody doesn't execute pinpoint perfectly, then everything falls apart. The entire thing is a disaster. And for that reason, in all 3 cases, you have to be glued to the business and to the drug, eyes wide open, like staring at it and just make sure, like, do this properly, make sure this is done properly, make sure this is done properly. Because all these things, I'm talking LinkedIn Recruiter, I'm talking job boards as well, they do 2 things. Number one is they give you some leads. Like, I'm not here to say that they don't work at all. I'm just saying that there's more efficient ways of doing things. They give you leads, which make you feel good and happy because you're like, oh, okay, I generated a candidate, generated a client, woohoo, well done. But you also have to spend hours on each of them to look through all of the job boards, to then filter through all of the alerts that you get through, then to filter through all of the terrible applications. Yes, I know you can get AI to tidy all of this up. That's not the point though. But you still have to make those calls and you still have to get in contact with these people who may or may not be serious. And then not to account for LinkedIn Recruiter, where you're sending endless and countless in-mails, basically cold spamming people into their in-mail inboxes, which is why reply rates are dropping now. Believe it or not, even though you have a LinkedIn Recruiter or any kind of premium account, just because you send an email doesn't guarantee 100% deliverability. There still is a junk folder for in-mails. So if you're spending a load of in-mails and they're not going through, then you might be hitting people's junks. I've heard somebody who was telling me recently like that they were over the moon that they had a 20% reply rate. Like, dude, we get 70% plus reply rates. We're literally at 70% plus reply rates. And that's just using LinkedIn sending normal connections. So now if we're getting an acceptance rates are north of 80%. So now we're getting 80% acceptance rates, 70% reply rates. I'm outperforming LinkedIn Recruiter with less work, with some very, very basic and simple automation tool. If you're not getting any of those kind of responses or reply rates, then you're just not using the tool properly. If you want to know how I do it, then I'll leave some information below, but that's not the point here. These tools are like drugs. Once you get on them, it's really, really hard to come off them. And especially when you're talking to other people who might be saying, okay, yeah, make sure you do this. This is a really good idea. Go on, do that. At the end of the day, the only time somebody is going to suggest something is a good idea is when they haven't experimented with anything else. Okay. I'm going to tell you from experience, from starting in recruitment, cold calling, because that was the only way to do things 10 years ago. I've heard some people are still saying that's the best way to go about it, but separate conversation. One part is cold call, then eventually came along job boards, eventually came along a LinkedIn Recruiter, and that era of recruiters is what it is. And it still works. There's plenty of businesses that still make money. I just know that they're on edge. And because every single person that I speak to, where they're using LinkedIn Recruiter and they're using job boards, your running costs are so much higher compared to somebody who is not. And now all of a sudden you are forced to put more effort, more time into making these tools work. Because it's not just the tool that does everything for you. You have to put time in to getting the candidate getting the person to speak to you, sending the right kind of message, getting the right kind of response rate, getting the right kind of reply rate. And even then, there's no guarantee if they're actually going to talk to you and speak to you about a potential opportunity. So now, if it's going to cost you in time and in money that much of a resource from your recruiter's day, or your day if you are the recruiter, and you're going to have to spend north of 1,000 a month. I've heard LinkedIn Recruiter doubling their prices as well. If you're going to have to do all of this, you're literally walking into a business model which operates below 50% in terms of profit margin. So now, if on a monthly basis you're operating on a 50% profit margins, it's one bad month that puts you in a difficult position, 2 bad months, and it shuts you down. That's the experience I'm literally hearing across the board with people who are either starting, scaling, or pushing for growth in their recruitment businesses, and they're hooked onto this drug of job boards and LinkedIn Recruiter. So in the best interest of your business, of your profit, and your sanity, please find an alternative way, because you're spending 15 and a half, 20 grand even a year per person just to keep the business afloat and alive. I will take that money from you if you really want to give it to me. I'll take that money from you and I'll give you a slightly better way. I don't charge that much, by the way, if you ever decided to take me up on that. That said, come off the drugs. Come off the drugs. I can't believe that's the message. Come off the drugs. That's the message. See you in the next video, guys.